Right, does this look suitably cozy? I want this to be a really cozy, chilled video, so I'm hoping this is giving you all the warm and fuzzies right now. I've also made this tea, which kind of smells delicious, but also smells so festive. It literally smells like a gingerbread candle. What actually is this? Spiced winter red tea. Don't mind if I do, Santa. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. How's it going? Hope you got yourself a hot cuppa. Make yourself comfy. I wanted to film a little coffee break video today, but I was struggling to think about what I wanted to talk about. And to be quite honest, I woke up this morning and didn't really want to get on camera because my body image is not that great at the moment. And as you can probably imagine, two things that are absolutely not compatible whatsoever, both alike in dignity, is bad body image and getting on camera on the internet. Being kind of very honest and open about all that good stuff, really kind of delving into the topic and exposing my soul when it comes to things like body image and self-esteem and all that, have been a really big part of what I've done on here. And I kind of built a bit of a community like around that whole topic, and I don't just want to totally abandon that. You know what I mean? That kind of feels wrong to have built a bit of a community where we all have the same very kind of overwhelming at times insecurities, and we all kind of feel a bit of a bond over it. I think it's like literally the worst dating app ever, but here we all are. So I thought for today's coffee break, although it's actually a tea break for me today, chucking the rule book out the window and a key, I thought I would share the kind of little, it's like a little suit of armour, I guess, and my kind of thought processes and the things that kind of steer me through when I have a really bad body image day. When I personally have bad body image days, when I'm really kind of beating myself up and I feel really rough about myself, I'm basically on like a downward, very slippery slope. I'm on that toboggan, full speed ahead, about self-sabotage, and I find it very, very difficult to talk to myself in any other way than being really mean to myself. But over the years, particularly the last couple of years where I've really tried to make this less of a part of my life and such a dominant part at least, I've picked up a few little helpful thought processes which do actually make a bit of a difference to me. We're going back to baby steps today, and I'm going to share with you a few tips and tricks. It sounds like they're like super fun and like magician pulling rabbit out of hat. Ta-da! I feel great. I also fully respect that this might not actually be something that you want to watch if that's the current headspace that you're in, and I fully respect that. Like if I was having a bad body image day and this sucker came up in my subscription box, I would be like, leave me alone, mate. But my intention is that I make this video and then maybe you might refer back to it when you are having a slightly better day. I'm hoping this can just be like, we're mates and you've come to me and been like, I'm having a bit of a shit time and this is my best advice for my best mate. That's what I'm sharing here. Okay, so number one is pause. And by that, I mean, just hold on a second. Like, where did this bad body image day come from? It doesn't just appear out of nowhere. There's normally something that triggers with it. And hey, sometimes you do just wake up and you know that it's going to be one of those days. But even then, there is normally something else going on which is making this happen. And I'm not going to talk about like solutions to what these reasons are yet. You don't necessarily have to know like the answers and how to solve it and A to B kind of thing. It's literally just identifying like, what is causing this? So maybe clothes, it could be a comment or a conversation. If it's something that someone else has said, that's also quite an easy one to identify, and that might be something that you need to have a little think about. If there's someone around you that's making you feel like this and this is regularly happening, you need to dive a little bit deeper into that. You only want to be surrounding yourself with people that have the opposite effect of that. You want to be around the people that make you forget about all of this crap that's probably plagued your life for the last 10 years or whatever. You want to be around the people that bring out the good stuff, that make you forget those problems, not the people that exacerbate them. But if you're pausing and you have no idea like of an outside force that has made this happen, that's like triggered these thoughts, and you're thinking that it's something that's come from your own head, it can be a little bit harder to figure out like what's actually sparked this. Like, what is the reason for me feeling like this about myself? And a really kind of like important realization that I had with my body image problems is that it's something bigger than just the shape of your human body or the size of your human body or the weight of your human body. Like that kind of like insecurity and self-loathing and real kind of deep problem is something much bigger than how your jeans fit. A real kind of turning point for me with that kind of like realization was thinking about back to when I was like 15, 16, 17, that kind of age. I was extremely slim. I was maybe a size 6 to 8 at that point. And I felt exactly the same about my body then when I was that size. I felt exactly the same then as I sometimes do now. And that kind of shows you, if that sounds similar, that it's never really been about your body. So by pause, I mean like just take a step back for a sec and think, where has this actually come from? And can you maybe have a think about that a little bit more? Journaling's a really good idea for that. If you were going to label how you're feeling, like would it be anger or would it be sadness or would it be loneliness and like unworthiness? Like if you were going to write a little tag label onto how you're feeling, like what would it say? I feel like weirdly nervous having this conversation. I never want it to sound like I know what I'm talking about, because I don't. Let me just put that out there. I'm not an expert in any means. I'm not intelligent enough to be an expert. I'm just talking about myself, basically. I'm sitting here chatting about myself just for a change. My tea's going cold. Okay, so number 2 is to, I wrote this in like a really essay kind of way. I wish I hadn't, but it's to externalize the thoughts. A+ over there, my friend. By that, I mean externalize the thoughts, my friend. Thus, in conclusion, so by that I mean separate yourself from how you're feeling. I know that probably sounds so insane and crazy. So a big problem for me when I have bad body image days is that I almost kind of beat myself up for it, and it's all me and it's my fault. But actually, if you really try and sort of, it's almost like going out of body with it a little bit. I literally sound like a lunatic. If you can separate the well-known and widespread problem of bad body image and low self-esteem and hating your weight and your body and how you look, if you think of that as like a problem, you can separate that from yourself, because that problem is not you. You as a person, you as a personality, and you as a soul, you are not born hating your body. Like nobody is born hating their body. And I think if you can like externalize the problem as like a pandemic, not to use the hot word of the moment, there is millions of people who feel exactly the same way as you do, but to also remember that there is causes that have led you to feel this way. No one is born hating their body. So what has caused that, and what have you like been victim to? So obviously there is like diet culture. There might also be a relative who's made comments in the past. There might have been a partner. Like I was saying earlier, like, is there a comment that's maybe triggering it? Something I also quite like to try and remind myself a lot of the time when I am sort of contemplating dieting. I think a really good thing to remember and question is someone is profiting off that. Like a big part of the diet culture, the main part of the diet culture, is that this whole kind of way of thinking, that's all built around the diet industry, which is making a hell of a lot of people, probably men, very, very rich off making women feel crap about themselves. And I find it like quite sort of empowering to think, am I going to have any part in upholding that and supporting that and continuing to put money into that? Absolutely not. Let me actually drink some of this tea because it's now like a lukewarm festive candle, And a hot Festacana was kind of delicious. Lukewarm, not so much. So maybe we've like taken a minute to think about what's actually happening here. Maybe we've remembered that this isn't us. This is a massive problem that is external from us. So number 3 is acknowledging that you are struggling and suffering with something very, very difficult. And it's really hard. Reminding yourself of that it's like a little bit of a weight lifted off your shoulders almost. I suppose what this one kind of really boils down to is learning to just demonstrate the tiniest ounce of compassion for yourself, which is very difficult if that doesn't come naturally to you and you're normally not very kind to yourself and you tend to beat yourself up about everything. Having that little bit of compassion for yourself where you can kind of admit to yourself, this is a really difficult problem that I am really struggling with and I'm finding this very difficult. Admitting that to yourself and having that bit of compassion can lead to showing yourself more kindness in other ways. And that then leads very neatly, like a swift PowerPoint transition, into number 4, which sounds super cheesy and we should all sit in a circle and hold hands with this one. But number 4 is that little bit of compassion can then hopefully lead to, again, baby steps, slightly kinder choices and kind choices for yourself when you're feeling that low. I wasn't very good at this. I've never been particularly good at this, making kind choices for myself. I didn't really know how to do it, but something that I found quite like reshaping of how I thought about it was that it's good to make choices for yourself that you might make for a child. So if you think about yourself on your bad body image days as a child, because you do kind of revert back to an almost like, it's like a childish kind of feeling where you just want someone to put their arms around you. But it's this whole kind of idea of like giving yourself the same needs that a child has when they're upset or feeling low or need looking after. There's this whole massive concept around like reparenting and stuff, which is really interesting. If you're interested in this kind of thought, that's like a good keyword to have a look at. There's that song, isn't there, in Frozen 2? But really kind of mixing genres here. Deep trauma. Frozen 2. There's that song that Anna sings, it's called The Next Right Thing, and it's all about like when all you can do is just think about doing the next right thing. And this is kind of that. It's like doing the next right thing for yourself. And that might be getting out of the mirror and just going to make a cup of tea. Getting out of the mirror and just going to have a shower. Getting out of the mirror and putting your trackies on and going to put a film on. Like literally the tiniest thing that might be a kind choice for you. Do that. Go and have a nice shower and take your time with it and try and like breathe. I always try and have a shower with my very favourite products. Like I'll try and have a shower with my favourite smells. In a lot of like body confidence, body positivity books that I read, a big part of what the experts kind of talk about is like trying to touch your own body a little bit. And I don't mean in a super sexy way. I just mean kind of like, you know, kind of holding yourself, and rather than avoiding acknowledging your body at all costs, it's all about kind of like touching your own body, and it almost kind of reignites the fact that you're like a real person and you're thinking these thoughts about a real person, and it's pretty mean, and like, look, this body feels soft and this body feels warm. So Frozen 2 style, we're gonna do the next right thing. It's all about that kind of like what a child needs. Try and listen to them and pick up on what they might need right now. Do they need warmth? Do they need quiet? Do they need sleep? Do they need entertainment? Do they need food? Number 5, I've written down clothes. I wish I'd expanded on this slightly. What did this mean? If it's clothes that have triggered this whole like bad body image day for you, maybe you've tried something on and it doesn't fit like it used to anymore. And actually, if it's clothes, I'm gonna sneeze. There go the bad vibes. If it's clothes that have triggered this mood, you gotta get rid. You gotta get rid. It's gotta go. I mean, instantly chuck it in the charity bag if possible, but if not, put it out of sight, out of mind, forget about it, don't look at it, don't worry about it. It's literally a piece of fabric. And instead, I really insist that you reach for something that brings you some joy to wear it instead. And I don't necessarily mean like visual joy, although if you have something that does fit, that makes you feel really good, that you can wear as an alternative, put that bad boy on instantly. Dig something out of your wardrobe that really brings you some inside joy, and I mean maybe something that's really, really comfy, and something that's really warm, and something that feels nice on your body, something kind of cozy and snuggly that's gonna do that little bit of almost like wrapping you up in a blanket and making you feel a little bit more kind of loved. And the whole kind of clothes thing ties in as well with the like externalizing part, rather than kind of laying the blame at your own body. If clothing doesn't fit you, it's not your body's fault, it's the clothes that are the wrong size. The clothes are not right. The clothes are wrong. It is the clothes' fault. Even if it's because you've gained weight or you've changed shape or whatever, it's still not your body's fault. Your body's doing what it's supposed to. Your body's changing. That's literally what it's supposed to do. It is the clothes which are the problem. Externalise. Eat your fries, externalise. Oh my god, that's my new motto. For number 6, I first wrote down my whole usual little spiel of unfollowing anyone that doesn't make you feel great, unfollowing anyone that doesn't inspire or entertain or inform you. Anyone that makes you feel remotely crap, unfollow them. That's my normal rant about how social media is your own space. You literally build it to be whatever you want it to be. So if there's some part of it you don't like, unfollow. And I still stand by that. That is extremely valid, and it's one of the most important things that you can do is changing your online space. But that's kind of like a separate issue. For bad body image days, it's not going to help to go onto Instagram and be bombarded by things that just make you feel worse, to do the process of unfollowing. That's not something we're going to do today. Today, we are going to switch off completely and utterly. I mean, maybe finish watching this video first. There is nothing better for my soul on bad days than when I do some kind of mindful activity. So something like crafting, where I'm completely off a screen and yeah, whatever, have a film on in the background. Some kind of mindful crafting activity where you're focused in on something and you're concentrating on something that is not how you look, how someone else looks. Nothing to do with that. It's about nourishing the inside and doing something that you genuinely enjoy just because you enjoy it. Do something that is just for you because you love it. That is a kind decision. If you find that even doing something like that is not letting you switch your brain off, if you find that literally your whole head is lit up like the bloody Blackpool lights, then do my number 7 top tip, which is a brain dump list. Not the most appealing title, perhaps. Brain dump list is what I like to call basically if you were going to imagine my brain being sick onto a piece of paper, everything that I can possibly consider to be a worry or a problem or a conundrum or a stress or something that is making me feel bad, any kind of negative aspect that is slightly concerning me goes into this brain dump list. When all your anxieties are on paper like that, it can kind of sometimes reveal what is actually going on, and kind of link back to my first point about like pausing and thinking like, what actually is this? Seeing all those things on a piece of paper is really helpful for visualizing what is actually upsetting or distressing you, that's kind of left you vulnerable enough to have this really awful bad day where you're really harsh on yourself. It might be something like money problems. It might be that you're feeling really lonely or overwhelmed by work, or that you're not appreciated enough. It might kind of highlight something a little bit like that, which is like a light bulb moment. Even if it doesn't particularly reveal anything that you didn't already know, and this is just a bad body image day for what your body looks like sake, it still helps to clear your head, and it leads to you thinking more rationally and to making slightly better decisions for the rest of the day, I think. And it's also a really good idea to kind of see it all and figure out what you can actually action. Okay, number 8 is to honour your appetite. So this one is kind of from personal experience. It's the big one from personal experience, because on my bad body image days, I would have these kind of crash and burn moments, and maybe the first thing that I would do is get onto Google and Google crash diets. Find some kind of website full of empty promises about how this next diet was going to be the one that changes my life. Rather than Googling crash diets and avoiding eating any food for the next 7 hours and then having a huge binge and making yourself feel even worse, and the circle of life, really try and honour your appetite as much as you can, in a kind and nourishing way. Again, it ties back into that kind of thought pattern of what does a child need, and if a child was feeling as low as you are feeling right now, if a child was feeling unworthy and unlovable and not good enough and, you know, not what they want to be, what might you do? You might make them a lovely, nourishing dinner. It's probably one of the first things you would do is say, we're going to have a really nice, lovely, warm tea. You might make a lovely chicken soup, or you might make their favourite comfort food. Please, above all else, don't go Googling diets. Please, riots, not diets. Honestly, the next time you go and do that, I hope my voice is ringing in your head saying, oi, mate, what are you doing? This is terrible. This isn't going to work. What are you doing? That little voice, I'm going to be there. Go and make a cup of tea. Go and put a Disney film on. Stop this nonsense. Number 9, I've fallen at the 9th hurdle here because I was going to have a lovely stack of books here to present to you and show you good examples, but I've forgotten to do that. I would really, really encourage you to invest in a couple of books that discuss this whole thing, that obviously you won't want to read when you're having a bad body image day. There is literally no point in me saying to you, oh, looked in the mirror and not liked what you've seen, go and pick up this book that dismantles diet culture. It'll really help, because you obviously won't want to do that. But I recommend reading those books when you feel better and you feel slightly less at rock bottom. Even if you can just get a couple of rungs off rock bottom, there's only so much that I can sit and chat to you about. As I said, I've got a clue what I'm talking about. I've only learned all these things from all the books that I've read and the therapy sessions that I've sat and cried in. So I'm going to make sure to list a few of my faves in the description box down below. If any of you guys have any recommendations while you're watching this, please leave them in the comments for other people to check out, and I will also be checking them out. So I'm not saying read them at your lowest ebb, because I don't recommend that. I recommend reading them when you're willing to take on new ideas and you are feeling a bit more kind of open to things and you're ready for a change. Then read these books. And then on the bad body image days, they might, you know, turn the volume up slightly on the more sensible thought patterns. This is the last one. Has this been helpful in any way to anyone? Probably not. Have I told you anything you didn't already know? But we've reached number 10. So, I mean, this one just sums it up really. For me personally, again, I'm just speaking for myself here, but I know that a lot of you have similar mentalities to me. So number 10 is to remember that the goal isn't ever, for me, ever going to be self-love and total self-acceptance and body confidence. To me, that is not something relatable or realistic, even particularly something that I'm super bothered about. So for me, the goal isn't confidence and self-love. The goal is neutrality. Total neutral feeling where it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, and it stops ruining stuff. It's the moment that I can look in the mirror and I can like my outfit. It doesn't really matter what my body looks like in it. It doesn't matter whether it's flattering, which is the biggest load of bullshit. Flattering just means how thin do I look in this. I want to be able to look in the mirror and like my outfit and think, this looks really cool. I want it to be so not relevant to anything that it's just completely neutral. It's just something that doesn't matter because I don't feel any kind of significant emotion about it. Like, my body is just the casing that carries me through life, and I can dress it up in cool outfits. Your weight does not equal your worth in any capacity or shape or form. Weight and worth have absolutely zero correlation. And I know for a fact that when I say that, you will fundamentally believe that. So why do you not apply that to yourself? Why are you the one exception to that rule? Because I gotta tell you, you're pretty special and you're beautiful and you're lovely, but you're not an exception to the rule. You're not an exception to any rule. Like, that still applies to you too. Weight doesn't equal worth. You believe that, it has to apply to you too if you fully believe that. I think it's really important on a bad body image day to acknowledge that it's a bad body image day. And you know what? Sometimes it's going to be a total write-off, but maybe if you try and like practice these things like 1% of the time, not even 1%, 0.1% of the time, maybe next time it might be slightly less crappy. Like slightly less crappy. On these days where the body image is bad, it's real bad, it's enough to just be neutral. It's enough all the time to just be neutral about your body. I think that's a springboard to jump off. It's enough to just, for it to not matter. And remember that life is happening with or without you. So you better catch the wave, my dudes. You got that? And now that my back posture is ruined for the rest of time, I think that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. I think it's not easy to watch videos like this. So if you got through the whole thing, even if you watched a bit of it, I really appreciate that. I'm hoping you might maybe bookmark this and come back to it another time when you feel kind of ready. Main takeaways are: your problems are separate from you. You are not the problem. The problem is something that the world has placed upon you. You're having a crap time dealing with it and it's really, really hard. So you have to make kind decisions to get yourself through it. I think that's the main takeaway here. Ooh, takeaway. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to go and sleep for 10,000 years now because that was a lot. And I'll see you very soon with another video. Take care and look after yourself and make kind decisions. Bye. Mwah.